me.
3, 2, 1. Hello, I'm Scott Soshnick.
And I'm Eben Novi-Williams, and this is the happy 20th anniversary sports business podcast, The Sporticast.
Everybody knows how much I love today's guests. You will not find a more knowledgeable and what do we say, Eben? There's two things you have to do on this show. You have to educate, which we know Sal Galatioto can do. But what's the other component you have to do?
You have to entertain.
You have to entertain. So I am going to set you up this way, Sal G. Happy 20th anniversary for GSP, Galatioto Sports Partners. And I will sing a backdrop, and you tell everybody where you start. I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to go, let me entertain you. Let me make you smile. Go ahead, entertain me. You started. You've been doing this how long?
It's hard enough for me that the only time I'm the smartest person in the room is when I'm by myself. And then you give me this build-up, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, you don't know what to do.
No, I
Come
don't
on.
know. You know
You
me.
you go on autopilot, my friend. Come on.
Unaccustomed as I am to public speaking, I'm going to do my best.
There was only one man who could have wrecked Lehman Brothers, and you're looking at him. Sal.
Thankfully, I left a couple of years before they blew themselves up. Thank God.
But
Thank
you know what?
God.
It is a good reminder. It really is that, legacy business, I don't care, blue chip, whatever you might, you have to have the perspective that, you know what? Something can go poof. It's good to have that perspective.
Well, think about it, okay? I started in 1997 when you could buy an NBA team for $80 million, okay? By the year 1999, we bought the Washington Redskins. I represented Dan Snyder. He bought the team, the building, and 120 acres around the building for $800 million, and people were telling me it was a bubble.
Yeah.
Can't go any higher. That's nuts. It's a bunch of guys running around on a field. Okay. Then a whole bunch of media companies started selling their media assets. Fox sells the Dodgers for basically a parking lot in South Boston. I represented Disney when they sold the Angels and the Ducks. All these giant media companies didn't recognize media content value, right? And the values of these things kept going up, right? And now, we're looking at numbers that, they're pretty interesting. We're
And some
talking
people-
about what are the Dallas Cowboys worth? I don't know. I don't know.
10, 11,
$11 billion, and
Yeah,
if it
you
ever
tell
really
us,
hit the
though.
market.
It's gotta be, right?
Yeah,
It's
it'd be
gotta
higher
be.
than that if it ever really hit the market. But some recognize their mistake. Let's not forget that Rupert Murdoch ordered the shedding of the Dodgers because it was like the only money-losing entity in their financial statement. He's like, I don't like this. What's that red ink over there? Get rid of them. But then when Frank McCourt put the team in bankruptcy and it was sold, let's not forget that Fox tried to jump back in and buy the team for $2 billion.
They did. They lost the bidding. Look, one of the things here that everybody argues about valuations. It's very simple. Okay, I don't remember a lot about what I learned in college. Trust me. In economics, even less. But this is what I remember. When the supply is basically fixed, and they're not making any more of these. Once in a while you have expansion. Okay, once every 20 years. But basically they're fixed. And the number of billionaires continues to grow. The number of people that want to own these things continues to grow. Demand goes up, supply remains static, price goes up. And this is true despite the fact that, what's the worst thing that could happen to sports? An epidemic, right? We've had that. We've had COVID. Everything shut down. They couldn't play. They couldn't do this. They couldn't do that. One of the testaments to the value and strength of these things is not a single one got into distress during the entire COVID period. So somebody must be doing something right.
Yeah, they're taking the money from the broadcast contracts. Those media companies need great deals, and we'll pay you anyway. It'll be a loan, but you got to pay us back. But we'll make those payments anyway.
Yeah, because the content is look. Everything is changing in the media landscape. You guys know that a lot.
I was going to
than
ask
I do.
about that next. Yeah.
Right? It is. And there are going to be some bumps in the road, especially with RSNs, and they're getting hit all over the place. But the fact is that people want this content. And if they want this content, somebody will pay for it and distribute it. It'll be distributed differently. It'll be distributed in ways. Look, like I said, I'm older than dirt. So I remember, before you could do stuff like this on a computer, before computers existed, before nobody, I mean, but somebody will find a way to distribute this stuff. And as AI continues to grow and people have more leisure time and they need to find stuff to do, sports is something they want to consume. And so the value is going to continue to go up.
You mentioned, Sal, how the past 20 years it seemed like the media piece was the first that people were maybe underestimating in terms of valuation of these franchises. Now it feels like real estate is becoming that thing. We wrote about the Sixth Street deal investing into the San Francisco Giants. That's a baseball team and also a downtown San Francisco real estate development. How much more, if so, are you talking about when you're in these deals with teams? How much more are you talking about their development opportunities, the land they own, the stadiums, the venues, everything on the real estate side?
Yeah, does anybody just want a team anymore?
Yes. Look, people do want teams. They want teams. If there's a real estate angle of it, yeah, they would love that. That's better. But the team is what generates the value. The team is what generates the media content value. And the media content value will continue to be the driver. I just don't see that stopping. And gaming is a tremendous tailwind for sports because even if I have no rooting interest in, the Seattle Mariners playing, I don't know, the Arizona Diamondbacks, but, I put a couple of, dozen sawbucks on it, which for the people who aren't in Brooklyn, those are $10 bills.
Now we're going to have to talk about egg creams and
All
stickball.
right. You got it, egg creams, but all right, you got 120.
Hey, I was born in Midwood, my friend.
All right, so there you go, So, all right, people are going to watch the game. They're going to consume that content, whether or not they have a rooting interest. So that's the first thing that's starting. And the other thing is that as we continue, sports is becoming more and more interesting and entertaining in a lot of ways. It goes beyond now just the game itself. It's all the shoulder programming around it. I mean, it's things like the NFL draft where nothing actually happens. I mean, what happens? The guy walks up, gives the name of a player. Then you wait 20 minutes, they give the name of another player. The ratings are
People
like,
scream, yeah.
people scream, they jump around, and then they find out half the players they drafted can't play. Okay? But at any rate, look at the ratings of the NFL draft. I mean, it's incredible. All the shoulder programming is becoming more and more valuable. And people want to consume it.
Scott, the owners of the Celtics are definitely excited to hear that the team is all that matters. That the team is the asset, and
all they got.
Everything else. Sal, do you think about different leagues differently? Obviously, every league has its own economics and its own media structure, local, national, all that. Do you feel this way about everything?
My golden retriever could run an NFL team and make money. I mean, given the structure, it's the only place in the world where socialism works. It's actually socialism for billionaires. It's perfect. Okay? And I think
Well, but Sal, it's the best system at all because they socialize the cost and they privatize the profit.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay? It's beautiful. All right. But we'll take that, and you can see what's happened to asset values there. They're going up and up and up. And demand, I can tell you, I've never seen it stronger. We're doing, and I can't tell you the name of the team, but we're selling an LP stake in an NFL team right now. It's going to be a very high valuation.
Yeah.
If it ever even gets announced, it may be brought in by the existing owners. Okay, so you got that. I look at baseball as probably the most undervalued sport. I think it has the lowest revenue multiples, and I think baseball has huge upside. And I'll tell you why it has huge upside. One, they changed the rules to make the game more compact. It's got more game days than any other sport, so you can gamble more on it. The speed of the game allows you to gamble on the game as it's current. There are 1 million data points you can gamble on. Okay, that's helpful. The other thing you have to remember is this. when I got my ass, am I allowed to say that?
Oh
I
yeah.
already
We,
did.
we,
You
we
can,
usually
you
say
can go bluer.
we
Yeah.
usually say tushy.
Okay. Whatever it is, off a
Rumpus.
boat from Sicily. The bulk of immigrants came from Eastern Europe and Southern Europe. Okay? We didn't know from baseball. Okay? Then immigration patterns changed, and the bulk of the immigrants came from South Asia and East Asia. Now it's changed again. The bulk of our immigrants come from Mexico, Central America, Venezuela, the Caribbean basin. Guess what? Every single one of those people loves baseball. They know baseball. They already have star players from their country playing in the major leagues. And unlike me, who struggled to learn this crazy English language, it took me 3 years. Okay, you can hit the SAP button and watch the games in Spanish. It's a huge tailwind for baseball. It is. And I think baseball is going to continue to increase in popularity, and I think it's undervalued. And I believe that the next CBA, let's see how it turns out.
Uh-oh, am I going to hear the two favorite words of owners? Let's hear
I
it.
was going to ask about this specifically.
Here it comes.
Yeah.
Let's hear those two words, Sal.
I'm not saying it, but you know what it is. And
I'll
if
put it nicely.
happens-
I'm going to say it nicely. Because there's global warming and there's climate change. I'm going to do the climate change version of it. I will
Okay,
say
go ahead.
cost certainty.
Cost certainty. I like that. That's very diplomatic. If that happens, the value of baseball teams is going to go way up, way up.
And in your
we're doing a bunch
conversations-
of baseball deals now, and I can tell you the demand is really strong.
Yeah. And how much in those conversations, Sal, is the prospect of a salary cap? Is it on the mind of every buyer and every seller? And it's hard to tell how realistic that is for baseball in the next labor
Look,
deal.
all I could say is this. I just came back from Arizona where it was 55 degrees and rained twice. So
Oh,
I'm
doesn't
the
sound like
unluckiest
Arizona.
person on the face
Yeah,
of
you,
the
you weren't in Arizona. You went
that
to
sounds
the
like
wrong
London,
place.
Sal.
I was in Arizona. I thought I was in London, but it was Arizona. So I met with a whole bunch of owners. I've met with a whole bunch of owners in Florida. I have never seen them more united. So if that means anything, I think cost certainty is something. I love that cost certainty thing. I got to use that now, Scott.
You can
Softer
trademark that
edges.
sucker. That's fine. You just
Softer
use it.
edges.
You don't even have
Less
to. Yeah, no footnotes, no anything. Just take it and use it. But we like to triangulate on this show, Sal, and I think it's really interesting that everybody's pointing at the Dodgers and saying, look at the spending. It's a huge problem. We need cost certainty. At a time when all these owners are getting dinged with their regional sports networks and the diminution of local revenue, where it's really important in baseball, and yet we referenced that Dodgers deal way back when. What's the beauty? What's the driver of the revenue for the Dodgers? It is their RSN local deal, guaranteed no matter how many people don't have access to it. It doesn't matter. They have the best TV deal, which is why they can go sign the entire population of Japan and win multiple World Series.
Which is what they've done, but they haven't won multiple World Series yet.
I was counting
Yes.
this year. I was
Yes.
at the stadium. I was there. I was there for the fifth inning, Sal. I had to see the disappointment on my son's
Don't rub it in,
face.
Okay, I had a speaking engagement that night. If I would have been in Yankee Stadium, you'd be doing this podcast from Rikers Island. That fifth inning killed me.
Yep.
How do you not cover first base?
Bad throw to third. Judge dropping the
Don't
ball
even
in center
start.
field. It was real. What a
It was
meltdown.
right. Forget that. Okay.
But the
What I'm
Dodgers have the
saying
TV
is,
money to make all this happen.
The Dodgers have one vote. Good for them.
Yeah.
They get the vote. But I think that cost certainty is something that's really important. Look at how it changed the NHL. I mean, before they had a floor in the cap, I mean, every team, about 3/4 of the league lost money. Now the financial dynamics of the league have improved incredibly. And I think it's helped the sport, and I think it's helped the number of people that watch the sport. It's made it very competitive. It's something that's going to happen. Sooner or later, hopefully sooner, it will happen, and it's going to have a huge positive impact on baseball.
Well, let me ask you this. Huge
Value.
positive as a net. However, what's the pain inflicted to get there? Because let's not forget, to get it, you have to negotiate that with the other side, and that's the players. And they have historically been, no way. Are we talking more taxation to dissuade this spending? Or are we talking NFL-style hard cap where your dog could run the team and make money? Because then I'm looking at more missed games because of a labor stoppage.
Well, as Clubber Lang said in Rocky 3.
Wait. Let me think. Oh, in which one? In Rocky
I
3?
think it's Rocky 3. When they
You're going to
asked
say
him what
pain,
he predicted-
prediction,
Right.
pain. Is
He
that where you're going?
predicted- Yes, he predicted.
Huh? Prediction,
You're
pain.
right.
How about that?
He predicted pain. You got it. So I
Novi Williams wouldn't have come up with that.
I predict in this
Never.
labor negotiation that there will be pain. Yes, people are taking tough positions, but whoever has the stomach to hold out the longest, they're going to get the best deal. That's the way it always happens. I mean, negotiation is a give and take. So I think it's going to be a tough one, but I think they're going to get the best deal they can. I hope. Major League Baseball owners need to do that because if not, the revenue multiples are going to stay, relatively low, and that's crazy.
Yeah, it's not an accident when the owner of the Rockies, who I believe is the chairman of the negotiating committee, or at least he was last time. I don't know if Monfort
he
still
still
is.
is.
I think he is.
Monfort,
Where he
yeah.
came out and said we need a salary cap. Owners don't generally pop off like that. There's an orchestrated approach.
Cost certainty.
He should have
like
used
you
cost
did.
certainty,
You
yes.
See, he needed to discuss this with you before he went out and said that.
That's what we tell everybody. They should always consult with Sportico first. That's why we say you get smarter and you get better business outcomes when you just discuss things with Sportico first.
I just got smarter. I just learned something. Now I don't have to say salary cap anymore. I can say cost certainty. I sound so much more diplomatic.
Erudite. You should be a professor. Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Yeah, I am.
Wait
I
a
don't
minute.
admit it to anybody. I try to hide it, but yes.
All
Been
right,
doing it
well-
for 20 years, 22 years. God.
I've spoken in your class on multiple
you have.
occasions.
And
I will
done very
say
well.
the students are great. It's an international group of students. Oftentimes they ask really good questions.
They're really smart. Smarter than their instructor, but I'm smart enough to have people like you come to the class. You see? There
There you go.
you go.
Can,
Not as
can
dumb
we
as I
switch?
look.
Can we switch to a different round ball for a second? You
Yes.
mentioned baseball and lowest revenue multiple of all the leagues that Sportico does valuations for. On the other end, Sal, MLS, one of the highest revenue multiple of 9.6. What is your assessment right now on valuations in Major League Soccer?
To be honest, I do baseball, football, basketball, hockey, and I do European soccer.
Gotcha.
I don't do MLS, so I'm taking the fifth.
Okay. Yeah, I
And
find.
I'm Sicilian. I'm very good at taking the fifth. Even when I didn't do anything wrong, I won't answer a lot of questions.
You can't get in trouble that
Smart-
way.
smart
let,
man.
Let me ask you this on a different genre that's getting a lot of attention, because I don't know if you were an early believer, but certainly the investment in women's sports is mushrooming, and it's coming from the owners who deal in the sports that you trade in right now. So if somebody came to you and said, Sal, I've got a little bit of a war chest here. I want to get in on a lower price. I want to pay $6 billion to get an NFL team. What are your thoughts on women's sports? Is it evolution, revolution? Would you suggest I take a peek at it?
Look, I would take a look at it. It depends on the price, right? Like anything that you're buying. I think there's some upside, but I think there's still a long way to go in terms of, media content value and how many people are watching this stuff. It's still relatively small, but if it continues to improve, then revenue multiples are going to continue to improve.
Did you hear that phone ringing? I know the magician, Pat Steigerwald, just ran, and she's got Don Garber on line 1 for Sal right now, saying,
telling
Sal,
me-
buy,
You're
buy.
telling me with this.
Calling me, I think, is really what it is.
See, I love speaking of like long-term relationships, Pat is the magician behind the scenes at GSP. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to go crazy here,
You're
but
killing me.
but
You're killing me.
we know what goes on there. Sal, what's
Answer
the
the phone?
what's the best deal you've seen in your time? And maybe something you were involved in, maybe you weren't. You know the whole landscape. What's the
Oh,
best
my
deal
God.
that's been out there in
Oh, my
in all
God.
those years?
I mean, I can tell you the most difficult deal I've ever done was the Cubs acquisition because it happened during the Great Recession. So I get hired 6 weeks before Bear Stearns gets into distress, and it took 2 years to do the deal. During that 2-year period, Lehman Brothers went bankrupt. The world banking system was almost bankrupt. The Tribune companies, which own the Cubs,
Own
went
the Cubs,
bankrupt. We had to buy the Cubs through a 363 sale, through a bankruptcy proceeding. I mean, it was hard. The Ricketts never gave up. That was the team they wanted. They paid $845 million for it, which was the highest price ever paid for a Major League Baseball team up to that point. And that was during the Great Recession. And to show you how special these assets are, there were 7 control sales done during the Great Recession. 6 of them were for record prices. The only one that wasn't was the Pittsburgh Steelers sale. And in that sale, I had a buyer. It was the brothers. One brother brought in the other brothers. I had a buyer that would have made it, all cash deal, would have made it the highest price ever paid for an NFL team. So think about that. What other asset class can you say that about in highly distressed economic times? You can't.
I mean, that's part of the reason, right? Is that it's a non-correlated asset. So a lot of people who have a lot of money,
scarcity, right? And media content value. People see that. They see that value. And I don't think it's going away, but who the heck knows? I mean, look, the way we consume media is going to change. You guys know that. You guys are in the forefront. You know that better than I do, right? But it's going to be consumed, and people will invent new ways to distribute it.
I mean, I go by, you know this, Sal, I call my son my focus group of one, and I look at what he and his kids and his friends are doing, and whether it's baseball, they love to play MLB The Show. Right. They know every batting stance. They know every player. He may not watch the games on TV, but he gets the highlights of his favorite teams and players. And I've told this before on this show, and this will resonate with you, but just to show how things have changed. And the leagues and teams had better get with the program here. Last year, I bought tickets for Yankees Red Sox on a Friday. And I go home. I think I did great, right? What's better than that? Your dad comes home and says, I got tickets for Yankees Red Sox on Friday. What does my kid say to me? He says, can we switch it to Tuesday? And I'm like, Tuesday? What? I go, why? He said, because they're playing Cincinnati. And again, I have no idea what he's talking about. He said, Cincinnati, what? He goes, I want to see Ellie De La Cruz play. So he didn't care about the rivalry of Yankees and Red Sox. Means nothing to him. He wants to see the exciting player. That's what his loyalty and his attention went to, Ellie De La Cruz. And there's a whole hell of a lot of athletes out there that are going to draw my son and his pals in. He wanted to see Shohei Ohtani in the World Baseball Classic. They had a party for the championship game. I mean, if I am a league and a team at this point, I am making a quick pivot and making it about stars and star power and individual matchups, because I'm telling you, these kids just do not care about the tradition of the sport. That's why they love things like pitch clock and things. I mean, it's all aimed at those young kids. They don't care.
You're right. And you can see the NBA has done tremendous job of that, right? Yep. The NBA really markets its stars. You know, first it was before Michael Jordan even, but I mean, you had Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird. I mean, LeBron now. The other leagues aren't that good at it. Now, it's much more difficult to be able to do that in football, for instance, where a guy's wearing a helmet and pads, and you don't really see the players all that much. But the teams are going to have to start marketing the players more because, look, the sport is athlete-centric, right? And if you have an Ohtani in and of itself draws attention from all over the world, and you're going to get more sponsorships and signage and media coverage too if you have Ohtani, right? I mean, if you're doing game of the week, you want a game with Aaron Judge and Ohtani in it, right? That's what you want, because more people will watch, even if they don't have rooting interest in that specific team. And so that'll be adjusted. But again, it's media content value.
And Eben, Sal never came out to see the focus group of one on the ice, but he has a new appreciation for hockey, because look, see, I hope everybody, that's a meme right there. Did you see that? Did you see that closed eye head shake? Before this man got the mandate to sell the Ottawa Senators, he's like, what about Ottawa? What about hockey? What am I doing here? All of a sudden, he's like, wait a minute. Look at the market for these teams. This is a real opportunity here.
We've been beating this drum for years, Scott.
Yep. He should have been listening to me.
Yeah, well, okay. I've made more mistakes than that. Okay, but think about Ottawa, right? It is the 44th largest market in North America. You can't get a flight from Kennedy or LaGuardia nonstop to Ottawa. You got to go through Toronto and get a propeller plane to go to Ottawa.
I'm going to Ottawa in a couple months, Sal. I'm driving because
Right.
of what you said. I can't fly direct. It's a 6.5 hour drive.
Are
I'm
you
just gonna
telling me
drive.
there's no Porter Airlines from Newark to Ottawa?
Newark is the only place
Newark
you
you
get
can
one
fly.
flight
Oh,
a day
okay.
to
All
You
Ottawa.
can
right.
fly Newark.
I feel better. Okay.
So, all right. So, I mean, it's a government town. It's not Toronto or Montreal. Let's be honest. When we sold that thing, we had 14 bidders. And we started out the bidding at $600 million, and we never gave up and kept working, and everybody dumped on us because it took us so long. We got to 950 for the 44th largest market in North America, and the team needs a new building. You guys have been out to the building.
It's far.
It's an old building.
It's
and,
far.
Yeah, they need a new building. I mean, it opened my eyes to the fact that hockey in Canada is beyond sport. It's almost religion. It really is. And the strength of these brands is incredible. And look, I got to give credit to Gary Bettman for what he's done with the NHL. And that started with getting a cap and floor system in the league. It really did. And he's been able to bring in players from all over the world. I mean, the best players in the world play here now. And it's a very competitive league. I mean, there are no dynasties there. I mean, how many teams have won the Stanley Cup twice in a row in the last 10 years?
Yep. Evan, look over his shoulders here. I mean, I got Flyers,
Yeah,
I've
I
got
see
Stars,
Senators.
I've got Senators. Yeah, 3 hockey.
I
behind
was
me.
going to say, I see similarities between the conversation that we just had about baseball star power and hockey star power.
Yes.
And I think part of it is also just a cultural thing about the athletes who play the games. Because baseball has tried in the last few years very hard to market its stars better.
Yeah.
And you can do as much as you want for Mike Trout. If Mike Trout does not want to be the face of baseball, it's never going to happen. And I do think, or I hope, I see this in hockey more because I think I follow hockey more, but the young crop of hockey stars seems to understand that. And it does seem like maybe for baseball, again, I don't know the sport as well, but it seems like for baseball, maybe the same Ellie De La Cruz, et cetera. If the young crop of 25 and under superstars understand social media and the importance of using it and growing the game that way, that's great for both the NHL and Major League Baseball.
Well, look, hockey players, in my experience, are some of the nicest people I've ever met.
Yeah.
Now, I'm lucky enough to have, we worked way back in the day on the bankruptcy of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and we did the debtor in possession financing, and we helped convert Mario Lemieux's deferred comp into equity so he could get, control of the team.
One
I
of
got
the
to know
best
Mario.
deals in sports history. Mario took equity in the team.
Yep. Mario was one of the nicest people I've ever met. I mean, I've gotten to spend time with Wayne Gretzky, and Wayne is an incredible person. I mean, talk about a modest person, the greatest player in the history of the game. But he's so modest. And Mark Messier and Richter and, some of the other, they're just, I don't know, there's something special about hockey players. And one of the things the problem with hockey is you watch it on TV, it doesn't look that fast. Go to the rink and see these guys skate, and it's freaking incredible. It's incredible. I mean, the athleticism, and good luck with being a goalie. Like, I might stand there and have somebody shoot a puck at that speed at me and try to intentionally get in the way.
I very rarely.
Scott, what do you
stand-
know about that?
I'm not a crazy hockey dad, but my son's a goaltender, and we're now playing against. We're seeing 80, 90 mile an hour slap shots at age 15. He's playing at the highest level. We're headed to nationals. Thank you very much. But I sometimes will stand behind the opposing goalie. My son doesn't ever want me near him. I usually sit up top and don't move like the crazy parents. But I'll hang out with the dad of one of our goals, one of our snipers. So he likes to sit behind the other goal. And I'm just reminded, there's 3 guys in front, pucks moving fast, shots coming in, you can't see it. And I'm thinking to myself, who in God's name selects this position? You're out of your mind.
It is incredibly difficult. And one of the things, that I didn't appreciate as much until you actually go see the games and sitting back of the goalie is how much obstruction there is in front of the net.
Yeah.
I think, how do you even see the damn puck?
I
The puck's
love
moving
when you get
95 miles an hour.
I
It's
love
this
when you get.
big.
Yeah, I love those reactions when the goalie's peeking, he's moving, he's trying to find it, and like all of a sudden it winds up in the net, and you're like, you never saw it. You did
goalies
everything
are-
right, and it's still in the net.
Goalies are so good that that's the only way you score, right? The only way you score now is if the goalie
Garbage
can't see
goal.
it, 'cause
Get
if
to the
he
front
can
of the
see
net.
it, he's
Yep.
stopping it. Yeah.
Yep.
And it is just an incredible sport, and I think it has an incredibly loyal fan base too. It just does. Hockey fans they're nuts. They love their teams. But the other thing you have to remember is how sticky these brands are, right? There's no other product like sports. There are a whole bunch of academic studies that show that if you're 9 years old and you're wearing the hat of your favorite team, you're more likely to change your religion than to change your team affiliation. Think about that statement.
Yep.
That's great.
And I'm not going to tell it here, Sal, but I actually have a joke about changing religion. Novi knows it.
Uh-oh, well, I don't
Next
wanna
time
hear
I'm
it
with
here.
you, remind me to
That's
tell
for
you the
no,
joke
yeah,
about
that's for
changing
an
religion.
I don't wanna get in no
off air.
trouble.
I'm not going to
Off
get in
air.
trouble right now, but I'll tell you off air.
I've got one last question for you, Sal. On my end, you started off talking about how valuations and transactions have stayed strong despite recessions in the past. Right now, we're not in a recession, but we're in a quote unquote correction. Do you see any change in buyer interest or seller interest in the past few months, given some uncertainty in the American markets right now?
We're working on 4 transactions right now, all limited partnership stake sales. We're getting tremendous demand. I have not seen anybody backing off on buying these things. I see asset values continuing to go up. I see demand continuing to go up. And look, if I've been doing this for so long that if I haven't seen it, it hasn't happened. So I've been through recessions, COVID, you name it, okay? Demand has never been stronger, and I think it's just going to stay there. I mean, unless we physically blow ourselves up, which man is able to do, if you look at our history, I don't see a lot that's going to stop this from continuing.
All right, let's end it there. Novi, go for it. Close that show.
All right,
By the way,
special
Sal, this
thanks
is
to
where
Sal
you and I talk
Galatioto.
over
He is the
Novi
president
Williams
of
and see if he gets
Galatioto Sports
distracted.
Partners. Happy 20th anniversary to everyone
Tigers
over
hat,
there.
A's,
He is Scott
Sixers,
Soshnick. You can
Brewers,
find him at Soshnick.
Phillies.
I am Evan Novi Williams. You
This
can
is-
find
this
me
is
at
like an eye chart
Novi_Williams.
test. I can see
The show
everything
is
back there. That
produced by
bodes
Justin
well for me.
Greenewald. Thank you to
You guys
Justin
should
and Matt
go on,
Palacio
like, a
would like you to
comedy
know
tour.
that you
You
can
know?
follow the show
Educated,
I
let
at
me
Sporticast,
begin with
which is the
entertain
hub
you.
of the
Let
Sportico
me make you
Media
smile.
Network. Aced it. Let's go.
All right, I'll see you.
Thanks, Sal.
Thanks, Sal.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
Pat.
Thanks, guys.
All
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Is that uploaded there, Novi?
We are good.
See, Sal can't even show.